Markets are jumping around, headlines feel unsettled, and if you're close to retirement, one question tends to surface quickly. Is my retirement built to survive a rough market, or is it depending on everything going right? And I had one of those moments not long ago. Thad and I were sitting at the kitchen table on a quiet Sunday morning, and coffee was in hand. The house was quiet, one of those slow Colorado mornings before the day really gets going. We don't sit around with the news running in the background at our house, but like everyone else, headlines still show up on your phone whether you go looking for them or not. And one popped out about the markets reacting to something happening overseas. It wasn't dramatic, but it was just one of those reminders that the world can change quickly. And I caught myself doing something that I've watched hundreds of my clients do over the years, running the mental calculation. Are we okay? Is our income protected? What would happen if the stock market struggled for a while? And that moment, it reminded me something that I've seen again and again throughout my career. When the world feels uncertain, retirees tend to fall into two very different groups. The first group becomes very aware of their accounts. They check balances more often. They refresh statements. They watch market moves. They run numbers in their head. And sometimes they even lie awake at night wondering if they made a mistake retiring when they did. And then the second group sees the same headlines and then goes right back to living their life. Same world, same news, same markets, but completely different experiences. And the difference between those two groups usually has nothing to do with intelligence or even how much money that they have saved. The difference is structure. Let me tell you about a couple that I worked with a few years ago. I'm going to call them Frank and Elaine. They had done what most financial professionals tell people to do. They saved consistently. They contributed to retirement plans. They stayed invested through market cycles. By the time they retired, their portfolio looked very healthy on paper. But when markets became volatile in 2022, Frank started checking their accounts every single day, sometimes twice a day. And Elaine said something in our meeting that I'll never forget. She said, Frank used to be the calmest person that I knew. Then she looked over at him and she said, now he can't even go through dinner without checking his phone to see what the markets did today. Now, if you've ever caught yourself doing that, pulling up your account balance, refreshing it, wondering what changed since yesterday, you're absolutely not alone. Many people approaching retirement find themselves doing the exact same thing. But here's the important part. Frank didn't really have an investment problem. Frank had a structure problem. Almost all of their retirement income depended on what the stock market did. If the market went up, they felt secure. If the market went down, their confidence dropped right along with it. Every swing suddenly felt personal because their lifestyle depended on capital appreciation, not income. And this is where retirement planning often goes wrong. For decades, the financial industry trained people to focus on one thing above everything else, and that was the account balance. Grow the portfolio, make the numbers bigger, stay invested long enough, and eventually everything should work out. During your working years, that approach can make sense. Your paycheck funds your life. Your portfolio grows quietly in the background. But retirement changes the rules. Once the paycheck stops, the portfolio stops being a scorecard. It becomes really the source of income, and income behaves very differently than growth. Growth helps you when you sell something. Income shows up whether you sell anything or not. Dividends, interest, income-producing investments, those payments can arrive whether the markets are up, down, or sideways. And when retirement income is structured properly, something interesting happens. You stop feeling like every market movement is threatening your life. Your focus shifts to something much simpler. Is my income showing up? And if the income shows up, life continues. Dinner with family, trips you've been planning, time with the grandkids. Without the constant background anxiety, imagine two retirees who have both the same portfolio value. Let's say that they each have $1 million invested. And on paper, they look identical. Same balance, same accounts, same market, but their retirement experience can feel completely different. The first retiree relies almost entirely on market growth to create income that they must sell pieces of their portfolio. And when the markets rise, that doesn't feel like a problem. But when markets fall, every withdrawal suddenly feels like damage to the portfolio. People start asking themselves questions like, am I selling at the wrong time? What if this downturn lasts longer than the last one? How long will the market stay down? Retirement begins to feel fragile. Now, imagine the second retiree. And instead of relying completely on selling investments, part of the portfolio is designed to produce income. Interest payments, dividends, other income-producing strategies. They still have investments that grow, but their lifestyle doesn't depend entirely on selling them. So when markets move around, they're watching something different, not just the account balance. They're watching whether their income continues to show up. And if that income keeps arriving, then life keeps moving forward. That difference, income versus liquidation, that changes how retirement feels day to day. It changes how people sleep. It changes how they react to headlines. It changes whether someone spends retirement enjoying life or constantly worrying about what the markets might do next. And that's why retirement planning isn't just about building a portfolio. It's about designing a structure that can support your life through good markets, bad markets, and everything in between.